Hello and welcome to the Inner Gamer on. My name is Brett Yanoski.
I'm Austin Morales.
I'm Devin Duree.
And today on the Inner Gamer, we are going to be talking about games as a service. Now, you may be asking, what is a game as a service? Well,
I was just asking myself that.
I'm glad that you asked telepathically in my head and told me that you were asking that
Get to
question.
the segment.
So games as a service is kind of a new thing. It's been around for a while with MMOs and things like that, but games are constantly trying to figure out how can we get people back into our game? How can we increase that replayability? How are they going to come back for more? The lust for the video game, if you will. So
remember when games were just like a game and
it just comes out and it's like done. Well, now they you come out and they want you to keep coming back, and they don't ever want you to not be talking about or playing this game.
Well, and I think it's certain dev companies try to do. It's the balance of quantity over quality, and some of them, for instance, like Madden, they want to have their game come out every year. They want to have an iteration come out at the same time with the same mechanics, with the same thing that you always see, with some slight differences.
Right.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because that's going to be a good segue into like a game that should be like this. So essentially, this guy, he knows what he's talking about right there. So
it's like I'm on a podcast or something.
A game as a service is basically games like Overwatch and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and stuff like that, in which
basically how do you make a game a franchise, but then keep people continuously engaged in that? Because at the end of the day, I think it's all about the money. You know what I mean? It's usually these big companies that are making these games.
Yeah, it's about getting people to continually buy into something without having to spend all the really extended development time, development cycle of rebuilding or creating a brand new game. So they've made these things that are games as a service, where Overwatch is a great example in that Overwatch probably will, for the foreseeable future, never have an Overwatch 2 attached to its name. It's going to be Overwatch. And they're bringing out new maps, new game modes, all these different things that continually release and then are supported by the community and purchasing these microtransaction loot boxes and things like that to keep things funded. And we're seeing this more and more than what used to be just with MMOs, which was pay a subscription fee, you're going to get continual content as long as you're playing this game. Right. And now Overwatch is doing it. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds said that they want this to be a game as a service. And then Destiny 2 is essentially that. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Back in the day, a game came out.
Yep.
This was brand new title, brand new story, all of this stuff. And then it would take 3 or 4 years before we'd maybe see a second version of this game.
And you wouldn't have DLC.
Yeah. So that game was released. It was talked about for, say, 6 months or however long it was there. And then you didn't hear about it anymore. And then people moved on to other things and whatever. Now you see Destiny. We're going to be hearing about Destiny for the next 2 or 3 years. It's going to be constantly in the news.
Yeah.
And I feel like, it's definitely a money thing, but I feel like it's almost like a hype thing in a way, that they want to they want this game to be talked about all the time.
Right.
Which will, of course, then as a result bring in more money for them.
I want people to get invested in the stuff, which is originally what Destiny wanted. This is a 10-year game, they said, which there was supposed to be a Destiny 2, but obviously there's Destiny 2, but
right.
Yeah.
So now we have Destiny 2.
Right. So now we have Destiny,
and it's
2.
here.
But while I'm not quite as jaded in the sense that I want to say that it's all about the money, I would like to think that the developers out there are actually looking to put out a good quality product. That may not be the case across the board with every single development company out there. However, the ones that we're talking about, like Bungie or Blizzard or CD Projekt Red, for something like, if you want to talk about
The Witcher,
quality games like Witcher out there. Companies like this, they're putting a lot of time, money, and effort into creating a solitary game. And if that game is supposed to last a long time, you have two options. You can either shove everything in there at the forefront, Witcher 3, or It can be, as you say, a service, in which case we're going to put out our base foundation for this game, and then we're going to build upon that as time goes on.
Right.
Like Destiny. So we're going to have our game Destiny, DLC 1, DLC 2, DLC 3, so on and so forth until the game has essentially run its course. Then we'll start work on the next one.
Yeah.
All the while, people are still finding bits and baubles and Easter eggs and shit from Witcher 3. So
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the standard now for every game. There's a base game and then there's DLC on top of that.
I would agree with you to a point.
For most of it.
Yeah, I would agree with you to a point on that because it's like a lot more. I think we're in a strange time in the market right now where maybe it's easier on a development team to put out a game at its foundation and then they can build upon it cheaper with players providing feedback and providing like, oh man, what a cool new gun you put in here, or what a cool new vehicle that was added for this map or something to that effect. While there are other people who could come back and say, ooh, this map is terrible, put that, we don't want that at all, or man, this gun is overpowered,
Right.
Get rid of it.
It's a challenging thing to build a game as a service because I mean if you build The Witcher 3 or whatever, like you put a boatload of time into building that game, you put it out there, sink or swim kind of situation. I mean that's extremely challenging in itself, but
Witcher 3 built its own boat.
If it fails, you can come back with another version of it or another title later on and make it better or different and recapture people's interest because it's got a different label on it. But with going back to Overwatch, like they had to build so many systems in place and spend so much more time to make sure that everything was positioned properly so that this game could not fail. Like, there was no way that they could fail because they expected it to be a long-term game. So the amount of extra development time I feel like is incredibly high.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So I wonder, why do you think, other than the money situation, why do you think developers have migrated to using these kinds of service options? So I feel like Blizzard is a big proponent of that. I mean, Heroes of the Storm is one. Diablo kind of is, but not really.
Hearthstone.
Overwatch, Hearthstone, all of those are games as a service.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, obviously.
Would you include Dreadnought as that? It's a continuously growing thing.
I think so.
They have microtransactions, but you don't have to pay for it.
Right. Yeah.
Initial game.
Definitely. Yeah. Any like free to play game is a game as a service. Fortnite, that's going to be that way.
That's true.
So all of those games like that will have that mentality. But if you look at Battleborn, that's one example of one that did not do well, and that shows you like the dire circumstances of investing time into this. Right. If you don't get it right,
well, yeah, that's
so hard.
Yeah, of that foundation that you're putting out, how much quality is in it, and how are the legs underneath it able to support a good player base to continue growing from there?
Right.
So content is king, but I can't look around the fact that I feel like it's all about money because microtransactions seem to be in all these games as a service. In the end, you have this great content that people want to play, but at a certain point, like it's going to get dull or people are going to get bored of it. So you have to keep people coming back for more and more, and then hoping that people want to buy into these little things on top of the big thing, which is the main game.
So something interesting on that. I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things that I've read is this isn't like explicitly said by any specific developer, but I think it is a result of where we are in society, in that it used to be you buy a game and then you would like, let me back up a little bit. So you buy a game, a physical copy,
right?
You'd sell it to a friend,
right?
And these developers were like, well, hell, like we made that $60 off of that game, but we didn't get shit off of that sale to that friend. And they didn't like that. They were like, why can't we want to make money off of those transactional transitions from place to place? So as a result, they created these ideas of let's build in microtransactions and things of that nature that gets you interested, so that we're not just making that first initial sale. We are making that first initial sale, and then if that game gets distributed, no matter where it gets distributed, there are additional ways to monetize that down the line. And so that's kind of where
we're
that
stuck
came
on money
from.
right now. It's
It is a money thing.
Way around it.
It is a money thing. But I'm just thinking of like, what are some other ways that
Jaded motherfuckers.
yeah, basically.
But I mean, that goes to something to say that you like a game so much, you put in the money.
You're
and
right.
Then
Well, and
at the end of the day,
they are a business, and they're going to have to make money. If they want to keep making us games, and we want them to keep making games for us, money is going to have to exchange hands, and I get it.
Right.
However, I would hate to think that it at the core of it all, that's what really that microtransactions are after. And I mean, Brett, you and I have talked about microtransactions. We have talked about microtransactions at length, but for a game being considered as a service, I mean, that's where I believe truly at the core that these are developers who are looking to really try to entertain a fan base. And with that takes time, and it is a part of an equation. It's not just time, money, and effort, or it's not just money, but it's time, money, and effort. So that time and effort that's put in, that's the love. That's the love of the game that they put in there.
Yeah.
And some show more than others. Like, again, there's not a whole lot of love behind Madden 27. I mean, we don't have Madden 27.
I mean, I'm sure there is, but just not our kind of love.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it has there's a lot to say for who does it right. I think Blizzard does it right, because I got into Heroes of the Storm pretty hardcore, like last year or something.
Right.
Me and you played a lot. I got so into it that I wanted my guy to look really cool.
Yeah.
But there isn't microtransactions like hitting you at every point like you might see in Destiny or World of Warcraft, which even then, like, they don't really hit you hardcore. But like, I could be like, all right, I want to look cooler, but the core gameplay is not going to be changed at all.
Right.
Say Shadow of War, where you could buy fucking, I guess, a loot box and get really cool stuff and be really awesome.
Yeah.
So it's like, that is, I think, the perfect equation.
Yeah. I just thought of something else that reminded me of like why we're seeing this now as opposed to why didn't we see this 10 years ago? Because if you look at it from a business standpoint, yes, it's all about the money. It makes more money. We couldn't do this 10 years ago because digital distribution wasn't a thing.
Right.
So now with the ability to do digital distribution, you can sell a physical copy or a digital copy and then just release new content by just clicking a button, and it pushes out to the marketplace.
Right.
And it gets distributed to those guys. So I think that's interesting. So something I want to touch on is, how can this kind of idea, well, actually, before we go into that, let's talk about games that don't exist as this now that could, and how they could benefit from it. So the reason why this first came up is that Game Informer did an interview with Call of Duty Sledgehammer Games and said, why hasn't Call of Duty become a game as a service? So why haven't they made transition that model? Because every year, consistently since 2000, I think 7 or something like that.
Right.
For the last 10 years, we've seen a new title every single year.
Right.
With a new number, new name, or whatever. So they're like, why aren't you a game as a service? Their argument is, technically we are. We just don't. It's not a traditional game as a service model. But in a way they are. They just don't do consistent DLC. It's just a brand new $60 title.
Right.
But what if they did have a game that was Call of Duty, and then every year you would get, for an additional whatever, you would get a story piece, or every 6 months you could get like a story that's like not a full campaign, but like a story, or for this amount you can get this additional content,
like
for
the Taken King type thing.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, do you think that's a possibility for other games?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's possible. I don't see some of them breaking that mold.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, another thing with this too is that it's got to have a multiplayer component. If it's just a single player experience, it doesn't really seem feasible.
Like, I don't see BioWare breaking this mold.
Right.
BioWare is going to do their thing, and that's always going to be, we're going to put a modicum of effort into making a decent story, and then tack on some multiplayer, and then we'll tell a supposed epic story.
Yeah.
Do I sound jaded? Do I sound jaded?
It's,
Do I sound jaded?
it's so funny.
I like him when
that,
he's jaded.
like you seem like a person that would be so attached to BioWare games. and
Really? Yeah, you would.
You just aren't at all. Like,
In the least,
wait, what was the Star Wars game that was BioWare?
KOTOR.
That was a big one, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody
Back
loved
in the
that.
day, KOTOR 1 and
Yeah.
2, Knights of the Old Republic 1
But
and 2.
otherwise, like,
Absolutely played the shit out of
You
them.
don't like
Loved
Dragon Age, right?
Nope.
You don't like Mass Effect. It's so
Tried.
crazy. It's so
Tried
funny.
them both. Played through the entire first Dragon
Fascinating.
Age. Not a fan. Mass Effect got partly way through.
Yeah.
Bored as fuck. Sorry. Enter it in the comments below. I don't give a shit.
So I mean, I hope some companies stay true to how things have been,
Sure.
because I think we need that diversity, because
Oh, yeah.
everyone is starting to funnel into this this way of doing things.
Correct. This model. And
Yeah.
you're absolutely
And it
right. Now
scares
there are certain companies that I know have tried it and it hasn't worked out.
Division.
Exactly. Ubisoft needs to look at this model hardcore right now.
And do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, would you want to see a Far Cry as a service?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
That would be great in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
a Far Cry game that give me the foundation and we're going to build upon it to where I can play a Far Cry game for more than a weekend.
Yeah.
That will last more than a weekend. How many times do you really need to play through a Far Cry game?
They try to do that with For Honor, but
No.
obviously that didn't succeed very well.
Well, also
they-
the multiplayer fan base on that one kind of
that kinda
screwed the
fell through.
pooch. So
Yeah, basically.
So it's
good in theory and still fun. Still a very fun game. Just the community was toxic on that one.
Right.
I think CD Projekt Red needs to stay away from
Yeah.
stay away from this kind of model because they don't need it.
Right.
Right.
They're a kind of company that is going to take literally all the time they want. Same for Rockstar.
Yeah.
Rockstar Games does the exact same thing.
Well-
We will take our time
Yeah.
and it's going to be a game that you're going to play for a long time.
Except technically they did create that with GTA Online. Like that's their games as a service model that
Yes.
is part, but it's interesting how they marketed it because
Correct.
you have Grand Theft Auto 5 and then GTA Online came with Grand Theft Auto 5,
Right.
but the thing that people keep playing is GTA Online.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if like RDR is going to do that with like Red Dead Redemption 2 is here, but there's going to be a Red Dead Redemption Online component that will be, because I mean, if you look at GTA Online, it was literally a whole other game.
Right.
But they've
right.
continually made money off of that ongoing, and that's their money base right now is
Right.
that. You had mentioned earlier Madden. I want to bring it back to that. That is
Sure.
a game that should be a service game.
Don't keep
Here's
making,
Madden.
Well,
Make it
yeah.
just game as a service. Release new stuff because I mean they never change anything. They add a few little story bits here and there.
change up the
Story
play.
bits?
Modify. So well, apparently the new long shot is really good.
Then Tim caught the ball.
Apparently the story mode in this new one is
I
really
shouldn't have
good.
done that. That really hurt my voice.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We
He's
want you
done.
to go horse
He's done.
anyway.
Fuck off.
But I think that would be a good one. I think a racing game should do that.
Yeah.
Like I think
I can
like
get
if Need
behind
for
that.
Speed, Forza Horizon, like those kinds of games.
I tell you which
As
one
a
I want to
service would be
see
good.
as a nice medieval fantasy setting, like a Skyrim as a service game.
That would be cool.
Like I mean, yeah, we kind of had that with things like World of Warcraft, but that's
Right. I think World of Warcraft kind of set the standard for all these service
well,
games.
it's
you know?
it's an MMO, and I don't
Right.
want that. I want maybe like give me like I guess the perfect equation I kind of have in my head is GTA Online mixed with Skyrim,
Yeah.
something to
That'd
that
be cool,
effect.
yeah. But at the same time, like some of these games, I think it goes to say, or there's something to say about being able to market something new and be like, oh, look at this new shiny thing
Yeah,
that was coming
Yeah.
out and all these new things
Yeah.
and these new characters and new stuff. I don't know if you can actually do that in a in a setting like Skyrim. You know, like you don't want this like, oh, here's Skyrim DLC number 2 with all this cool stuff. You know, I
Right.
don't know if it has the same punch as if releasing a new game. I mean, look how Destiny was able to really capture an audience again and new people with their marketing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think when you consider a game like Destiny, as we mentioned, you two were not fans at first.
Yes,
No, we were. At first, we were.
that's true.
It was great.
I played a lot of that game actually.
I think I put in 4 days total time.
It's a lot.
Yes, all
think-
Crucible.
Yeah.
All Crucible. Anyway, that's another story.
Well, wait till you get to the Crucible.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's gonna change your life.
So when you consider a game like Destiny, and you talk about players who have come in and they weren't fans, and then they've come back, and then you want to throw in that same element of what we're talking about right now as a game as a service. Destiny really capitalizes on the idea that this is all about the community of play. It's you and your friends, and it's all about the Guardians fighting off the darkness, whatever the fuck it is.
It's gone now, so don't worry about it.
Darkness doesn't exist.
Okay, Gaul. Fighting Gaul and his assholes. This idea that this game now that we're going to be playing Destiny 2, this could be the 10-year game, because there's a lot of different avenues that we could go down. There's a ton of stuff that you can think about as from the community standpoint, with the story that they have now introduced, which is much more decisive and confident in what it is and what Destiny 2's narrative is about. There's so many avenues that we can go down. There are so many things that we can explore. We have new planets. We have really cool characters who have actual backstories that we've learned about now, and characters that we've seen that we're going to get to explore. Any one of them we can make a DLC about. Any one of them.
That would be interesting. Yeah. Like backstories to each character, learning about
we
who
could get
they
a whole
are
DLC about Banshee and his time as a gun runner.
Yeah. It just saddens me that they had to, in order to reach that point, we had to add it to the game. It's, I know why it happened and why they did it, but man,
But you know what? This
so
is
weird.
this is also a prime example of a company learning its lesson.
Oh yeah,
I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
A big lesson.
Yeah.
Bungie, I think, is learning the lesson that Blizzard's been teaching.
Yeah.
Which is, take care of your fans. Take care of the fans and what they want to play. Listen to what they have to say to you. They're the ones buying your game.
And ironically, Destiny is part of the BattleNet Blizzard launcher. So it all comes full circle.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah.
So what I really wanted from Destiny was kind of a World of Warcraft, because did you play Cataclysm, or you heard about it from WoW?
I heard about it, but I never played. Dude, I was way back in vanilla WoW, way back in the day.
Me too. Like, me and Travis put so much time in vanilla WoW, but for them to really, like, every new DLC is like a huge event in the world, and Cataclysm changed the way a lot of things.
Was it
were,
a cataclysmic event?
It
I will beat the shit out of you with that empty mic over there.
Because you remember the Barrens? Gigantic. They split it into northern and southern.
Yeah.
Stranglethorn.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Stranglethorn, and then the Cape of Stranglethorn.
That's cool.
So, like, it's two different, like, areas, right? So that's what I kind of want to see in Destiny to kind of progress the service thing, is like make it a huge event. Like, okay, we had all this happen and now Gaul happened, right? Like, this is great. And then it's like changed everything.
Absolutely.
But I want the same worlds from before, but I want the new worlds too. So it's kind of like, just like in WoW, you can go to the Burning Crusade.
Right. And I think that I personally think we're going to see that here with Destiny 2. I think we're going to see more like, man, what happened to the moon, since it's so close to Earth, and obviously Gaul and his crew is there. Like, what's going on with the moon, and what are we going to do about the Vex threat that's still on Venus? And is there anything happening in the Vault of Glass? This is where we're starting to kind of get away from games as a service, and we're also now talking. We're also talking about fan service just in general. Like, how much of an old game do you need to bring into the new one to keep fans interested? And that's a line that developers have to tote as well. I mean, you can do the same thing for Red Dead Redemption 2 that we're going to talk about. Like,
that'd be good.
Are we talking like, how much of James Marston's story are we going to be looking back at? Are we going to be seeing some flashbacks kind of shit? And do we need to see that? Is that what's going to keep retain the player attention long enough to that it's to where it's going to be increasing the longevity of the game and the players.
You want to make
want to be in.
a good game as a service?
Borderlands.
Borderlands.
thinking we were thinking the same thing.
Like that needs to happen. That just makes sense, doesn't
Well,
it?
it's so funny because
It
that's
already
what
has loot.
Battleborn was meant to be, and they should have just kept Borderlands and built it into that, because you have Pandora, you have these different places all over
Work
the
on
universe.
Borderlands 3.
You could have gone over there.
Just Borderlands, the
They
legacy. I don't know.
Yeah,
the world,
they bring
the
out
thing, the universe.
Yeah, that would
Border
make so
universe.
much sense. That would be so awesome because it's co-op,
Absolutely.
drop in, drop out.
The
the
universe of Borderlands is massive. The characters in Borderlands are so obviously well thought out and written.
What's the mechanic's name?
Skeeter.
Skeeter.
Catch a
Man,
ride!
imagine going to like your social space and like Skeeter's there. It's like, hey, what's up, fella?
Well, you're not gonna be able to do that now.
Don't remind me.
Spoilers for anybody who's played or hasn't played Tales from the Borderlands. You should go play it. It's amazing.
That's another one they need to make
Damn, I haven't played
remake.
it yet.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I know.
That's the only. Well, actually, apparently, like the
Telltale.
new Telltale our Batman game is really solid too. But yeah. So to kind of bring this to a close, there's one other like genre I want to mention that I think would be interesting as a game as a service. I want to see what you guys think about
Okay.
RTS games, like a real time strategy, like say Age of Empires or StarCraft. Instead of a new title each time, you have the systems in place that haven't really changed ever in StarCraft. You could release new story bits.
Didn't you feel like they kind of did that with StarCraft 2? Like they kind of started to do
Yeah.
that with StarCraft 2. Like
In a-
we got the Terran story first.
Right. Wings of Liberty, and then they brought out
Was it
whatever the other
Zerg
ones
or
were called.
Protoss was last.
Protoss
think
was
so.
last.
Okay.
So they did do that, but it was clearly defined separate titles. That's
Correct.
That's
Yes,
the thing.
it was still the game.
I guess
of
that is what makes sense if it's new story.
StarCraft 2.
But
But I see what you mean, and I think definitely an RTS in that way would be really cool.
yeah,
It would maybe feel like it would diminish a little bit, especially when you're talking about one of the biggest things about RTSs is resource management. What happens if you mine all the trees everywhere?
well, I mean, it would still be not
True.
necessarily it wouldn't be like a progressive world.
Sure.
But it would be a game that you have StarCraft and it's a 10-year StarCraft game.
Sure.
So you always jump in and out of new matches and stuff like that and just do matches all the time. But the content wouldn't be released as a 2 or a 3 or a 4.
Right.
I don't think
It would
the
be like a
content's
World of
there.
Warcraft style, like where it's been around for 15 years and they just bring out
I
new
just don't
stuff.
think RTSs have those kind of legs.
Well,
'Cause,
Yeah.
it would be difficult, but I could see it being done, but it would take smarter minds than me.
I just
Yeah.
I mean,
Me
I guess they
too.
do it already.
I mean, I don't
know.
make games in general. I just
Right.
play the shit out of them. But
I mean, if you look at WoW. WoW is basically like a glorified D&D world, and then you have
shut your mouth.
Destiny. I said glorified. It's not.
I mean, it's
the same
basically
amazing
better. I'm just kidding. I hate
than your
WoW.
world because I can actually win. And
True.
Destiny is working on FPSs, which anybody can jump in and play. So like, I think there's certain aspects of gaming that like it's easier for that to be a part of. Overwatch FPS.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We even talk about the factor that you can actually make these MLGs.
Major League Gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that plays a huge factor into this longevity too, because people keep wanting to playing that, like Halo. Like people played Halo for a long time
Well,
because of that.
I hate bringing this one up because it would seem so simple, but one of the games as a service that I think that its model could benefit into something like,
Major League Gaming.
well, not just Major League Gaming, but just
Say it.
Minecraft.
Okay.
Minecraft is a game as a service. It's obviously a game that has lasted
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
years and years and years and years, and they have built upon it for years and years and years.
I'm
and
kind of
years.
surprised it hasn't reached that point. Like
It kind of
They-
has. I mean, it
they-
has its own con.
yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't need any new content per se. I mean, they've added stuff to it here and there, but ultimately it's still
base
Minecraft
game.
that
Yeah.
you just drop into a world that's randomly generated and just craft stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's the core game, and I guess they've built up
Boxy, pixelated
around
stuff.
But now it's 4K.
4K resolution pixels. Wow.
Surprise.
Those pixels are so
Oh
awesome.
man,
Yeah.
those pixels, those
You know,
creepers look
We
amazing.
forgot about Rocket League because that technically is just one game.
That is a game as a service. Yeah.
and how they've just
totally.
released things over time, and people continue to play it.
That's a
and
successful example.
It's
Yeah.
part of Major League Gaming.
Yep.
So
Or esports.
esports, yeah. Sorry,
Very,
I don't know. MLG
yeah.
just got stuck in my head.
very good game.
Right.
Yeah.
Content king, and then you could build stuff up around that. But usually it goes with microtransactions and doing hardcore gaming stuff. But I guess Destiny isn't a hardcore game to play. Esports.
I mean, it all comes back to like that core game has to be like pristine.
That you say the core game
it's
itself has to
not
be pristine
pristine,
and
like,
polished, and
it's just not gonna sit well, and you know, it's something that is definitely not going anywhere. We're gonna see a lot more. I'm just curious to see what kind of new IPs we're gonna see come out that fit this mold. People are trying it a lot. Some are failing,
Right.
and then others are like super succeeding. Like there's rumors that Anthem is gonna be that kind of mindset. So that will be BioWare's
I feel like every
version
game
of
now
Destiny
is
basically.
trying to be this system, or
Yeah.
like everyone's trying to one up the other one, which is understandable, and I get it, and it is highly profitable to go this route. But I mean, are we going to see everyone funnel into that now?
Basically, when you
Bethesda's starting to
buy
do that with the new
a
mods.
AAA game, it's going to be a service. And if you buy an indie game, it'll be like a one-off game.
Right.
That's basically what we've reached now. It's the sad truth, guys. It's the sad truth.
This is
I don't
why I
know.
like-
I'm playing Little Nightmares over and over again, so
That's true.
But you don't have to buy microtransactions every.
it's true. I don't.
That's
That's
nice.
why I'm liking European developers now, because they create these one-off games and they're really awesome and they're really polished.
Yeah.
Like Hellblade, amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you compare that to Mass Effect Andromeda. Hellblade's just God.
I can see it.
It's not like it's
can
hard to
see
be
the light.
be above Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because they have billions of dollars and you have Hellblade.
Right.
Whatever.
Anyway.
Well, cool. So
random thought.
I think that's gonna wrap our discussion.
I think we're good.
That's been good. We've had some comments about that. So if you guys have some thoughts on games as a service, things that you think would be an interesting game to become a new service, let us know. Or games that you think are a service now, essentially, that shouldn't be. Let us know. Drop us a line in the comments or whatever. If you guys are listening to this right now, make sure that you tune in on Thursday to the video segment of this on youtube.com/theinnergamer. And that's going to be awesome. If you guys are watching this right now, make sure you go over to our website, theinnergamer.net, and subscribe to us on
Edit the link.
iTunes.
You're gonna edit
or
the link right here.
Google
right where my
Play.
hand is.
Well,
I don't
it's
think
right
there's
here.
actually going to be a link right there. Yeah, it's going to be
Is it
like...
like is it up here? Subscribe.
Wait, how am I
Wait, isn't it over this way? Oh, the
It's over
subscribers
here with
over
us.
there.
Videos
Yeah.
are right there.
Yeah, that's right. They're over here in this area. So,
It's so awkward.
We're just like,
just holding our hands up.
so if you like this video, please subscribe to us and give us a like or a subscribe and all that stuff. And then share it on social media or tell a friend and be like, hey, go to or youtube.com/theinnergamer and follow these people because it's awesome.
I mean,
So
we're beautiful, aren't we? Faces.
anyway, thank you guys.
I'm not beautiful.